Well, I've got some everything. I got some yearlings up here that we're gonna work on some shoot procedure with. We're gonna buck a few of them that are what I feel like are in the right condition to buck, and the ones I picked out to buck, I don't think they're gonna buck hard enough today with the condition they're in to hurt themselves. So that's a priority, you know, when you're dealing with the young ones, is getting them in and out of here enough times where they learn where their feet are and kind of learn the process without getting crippled in the meantime. So I've got some 2-year-olds up here that's been to the events, and they're just going to get some dry work, and a few of them are going to get a trip, just kind of a tune-up between events, you know, just try to get them an easy win before they go to another event this weekend.
Our deal works pretty good because it's all a family deal. And like I say, he takes care of the bull end of it. We do the feeding and attending to them and all of that. And he goes to the competitions, and he's been winning, and it's been great.
I guess you kind of consider these guys like on a minor league team. And are you good enough on this minor league team yet to get to bump up, or do you have to stay on the lower level? So it's pretty fun to watch him though, and how he bucks through those calves and has to decide who gets to go and who doesn't, and who's good enough and who's ready and who's not.
Everybody comes with their calves prepared now, and everybody comes with great genetics and great athletic ability, and you know, and there's a lot of people putting a lot of hard work into it, and you can tell when you pull up to the events anymore. The animals are conditioned, everything is up to snuff. The difference is genetics first off, and then you got to outwork them on top of that. Athleticism is always the most important thing, and then the desire for these calves to have the desire to win, enough heart to put up with all that we put them through, you know, and they're just like wild animals. And from day one, it's our job to bring them down from that. You know, you want to have that energy and that athleticism in a bottle, so to speak. So when you pop the gate there, well, then all that energy and all that effort can happen right there in the arena. My take on it is get it while you can get it. If you got a special calf, it's able to go get money as a 2-year-old, and go get it while it's there. Now, I've been guilty of that a lot of times in the past. You know, I think I got a short rounder, so I bucked him 2 or 3 times with a dummy, and then he turns out being a good, solid 21-point long rounder, you know. And I left, you know, $10,000, $15,000 back there on the table when he was a 2-year-old.
A lot of it's in here. And with all of that heart, that makes them go on and be the great one. But when you get down to the genetics of the cow side of it, the great cows just keep on reproducing, and then their daughters keep on reproducing. So there's something about the cow side of it that's a big key to it. I always said the best way to create a great bucking bull is to use the best bull you can use. You got to have the great cow to go with it, you know. But no one knows where that great cow is. Copperhead's mama was an F1 that we had in our beef herd back when I did the beef cattle, and she raised Copperhead and Junior and a bull we call Backlash, and all 3 of them were great bulls.
Chaturanga, I think. I call him 262. We partnered with Dan Duckwall on that calf when he was a yearling, and the calf's been special from day one. He's looked like the caliber to be a champ, you know, 4 or 5 times here at the house, and then seemed like every time I'd take him somewhere, he'd just stub a toe or just miss a kick, just do something to keep him from being 1 or 2. You know, he placed 3rd, 4th, 5th all along through there. And then he put it all together at the American Heritage and come out of there with a big check, you know. He got the high horns and the hump and the whole deal. You know, he's got the look for sure. He's by U28, which is a straight jacket son out of 255, one of our best cows.
Nowadays, seems like we breed to so many different bulls that if one don't work, the other one surely will. So, and we breed to a lot of young bulls. It's just, gosh, we put yearlings on them now, and we put 2-year-olds on them, and you know, and we'll put bulls that we hadn't bucked but 3 times, but they're out of the great cows and out of a great bull. And when we did buck them the 2 or 3 times, they had lots of kick, and they looked like they were the ones that's going to make the great bulls in the end. Maybe not in the futurity, but in the end. And those are the ones that we breed for, and we still today, we breed for bulls to be great when they're 4, 5s, and 6s. It's just been working that they've actually been really good when they're 2s now, and 3s. And the ones that get off the ground really hard, even as the futurity calves now, they mark them better. If they've got the gas, I mean, they have to have the whole package. But if you can get one that really kicks and bucks around there and then spins, well, you got the one that you can win with.
The opportunity to get to work with Dad and HD, I think that for me, it's been an experience that most people don't get. Well, heck, I've learned so much about the bull industry and raising and breeding these calves more than anything that we've all looked at. I guess that's probably my role here anyway, is the DNA work and matching up sires and dams and who's breeding and who's not, and how well it's all going.
You know, that calf went 100,000 this year, and we turned him out on heifers right after that. And I brought him back, bucked him the first time after that. I guess he was a little sluggish. I wasn't there, and then I bucked him last week, and he had everything he could ask for. And then I bucked him again today, and he had the same intensity and kick, and he's kind of gets up in there, and he's got everything I think he could ask for. 56 is probably my favorite. 56Z, a little black baldy, so he bucked out of the right. He's got, to me, he's got everything. He gets his front end really high in there, and he's got a big, strong kick. Almost just drives his feet down, you know, to the ground, and then he's brought back up. He's real springy. He's just on the ground a second. You know, when you go to an event, that thing's going to ride him. And some events, some organizations set their clock to 6. And some of them set it on 4 and some 5, and you can just add 2 seconds to that time. That's how long the dummy's going to ride them. So if their clock's set on 6, that dummy's going to ride that calf for 8 seconds. Either way, it's going to ride them for a good time, you know, especially when these calves are grunting and humping and bucking as hard as some of them are, and they're giving it everything they got. That's a long time. And even though they're putting out all the effort and they're doing everything they need to be doing, I think in their mind they still think, well, I got beat that time, you know. And so it's nice to bring them here and let them buck a dummy off quick, thinking, boom, that's what I want to happen, you know. And they turn back and follow through some kick, and if you can get that dummy off at the right time, I feel like they learn from it. Confidence is a big part of any athletic sport or anything you do, you know.
I think that that's one thing that we've always noticed is HD's always had such a demeanor about him that these animals have such a way of just calming down when he's around.
For the classic bulls, I mean, we've got Margie time that's just been unbelievable. We have a 3-year-old that 32Y is his number, and he's been unbelievable. He's just stepped up, and he's right behind Margie time. Of course, we got a couple of more 4-year-olds that's right in there in the hunt with them too. We probably got the best set of classic bulls this year that we've ever owned. It don't happen very often. Like I say, the 32Y is a 3-year-old. He's a great big bull that's out of Crossfire Hurricane. Turns back right in the gate every time. And he's bigger than most of our 4-year-olds. So he's just a big old stout bull that has just stepped up and is going to make a name for himself. You know, Who knows? He may be the one that beats Margie time at the Classic. And you never know. Like last year, you know, we thought we went out there thinking we had a pretty good set of bulls, and then we didn't win. So you never know. That's the one thing that at the finals you have 2 trips. And if either one of them is a bad trip, you're done.
Well, you know, Mudslinger was probably the first really ranked bull that we raised. He was just special from day one, and, you know, he would have been, you know, bulls have gotten so much better and so much ranker, and there's so many more of them and all that stuff, and Mudslinger was way ahead of his time in my mind. But he was one of the bulls they used when they were creating the criteria for judging, you know, and because he had the front end, and he had the kick, and he had the spin, and he had, you know, he kind of topped the chart in every criteria that they looked for, that they could think of to look for, and, you know, that still comes to mind when I think about how good he was when he was a calf. A lot of these calves, are right out of his daughters and granddaughters, and it's pretty neat to see. You know, 262s actually out of a Mudslinger daughter, and old Mudslinger had a nervous habit. He'd pick his leg up like he was going to kickstart his motorcycle or something, you know. 262 does the same thing, and we were at Fort Worth a while back, and Dan Duckwall said, "Hey, that calf's holding his leg up back there," and I said, "That's the Mudslinger in him," you know. But it's funny, you see little genetic traits like that in them. Even though they skip, you know, he's out of a Mudslinger daughter, but it's still there. He does the same thing.
Well, Mudslinger was, of course, eventually became Bull of the Year in the PBR. And I don't know, I guess would still be today my favorite bull. We hauled him a long, long time. And he was a bull that got crippled probably when he was a 5-year-old, but we bucked him plumb till he was a 9-year-old. And every time you ask him, he give you everything he had. He just never weakened. And to me, that's the sign of having enough of heart to believe that he will be a breeder. You know, we've had a lot of bull calves out of him. Really never found a superstar. A lot of really good bulls out of him. Every one of them that we thought was going to be a superstar wound up getting crippled. We have daughters out of him that have been unbelievable. So it's not always the bull they raise. You got to have a female.
Shepherd Hills tested. He had all the athletic ability in the world, and I actually had him nominated for the American Heritage when he was a 2-year-old. And it's a wonder I didn't kill him trying to get him to turn, you know, but he just bucked so hard, but I could not get him to turn with that dummy. But he would just jump this high and just about turn a front flip trying to get that thing off. And I kept thinking, well, I'll get him to turn if I buck him enough. If I run him through here enough and jack with him enough, I'll get him to turning. So I bucked him a bunch with a dummy. And he's a 22 and a half on a bad day to me, but he didn't spin, you know, so that don't work the way that everybody else thinks. But if they don't spin, they're not going to win. And he wouldn't turn, but he would jump this high and wouldn't go nowhere and just buck like crazy. But anyway, the first time I put a cowboy on him when he was a 3-year-old, they 20-40 him, I think. You know, he was just around the end of the gate and jumping and kicking and doing what they're supposed to do.
Shepherd Hills tested, which is a young bull to us. He's a 6-year-old. You know, I think he is a 2008 model. Mossy Oak Mudslinger was a 97 model. And in between those, I don't know if I had me a sheet of paper, I could name off just numbers of bulls that hit the same spots as those two did. Maybe not quite as good, but way up there, at least in the classic division. You know, one I can mention was Hotel California that come right behind Mudslinger that, gosh, was just outstanding. You know, the same deal, we bred to him, and gosh, some of the females out of him are outstanding. In fact, Shepherd Hills tested is out of a Hotel daughter. I don't know, you keep looking back and thinking about the ones that came up, and the great sires are always involved. And then, of course, the great females are always involved.
90 days, bull calf.
This year, especially, I've noticed that our breeding has been at the top of the, winner circle over and over again, whether I bring them or somebody else brings them. And those females, I feel like, are the ticket.
There will be some great heifers. There'll be quite a few embryo heifers in there. There'll be a lot of natural barn heifers. There'll be some bred to stone sober. There'll be some that's bred to some of the great young bulls that we're taking right now that we're winning with. There's one thing about it, nobody knows when you look at a heifer what's the best heifer in the pasture. We can all think we do, but nobody knows.
And these females are producing females. I mean, you can match them up to numerous different bulls, and they're still going to produce really ranked bulls. No, we're not culling the herd, because you can look through. There's been too many people who've had really good bulls purchased, and especially from this fall female sale. This year, I actually talked to a gentleman the other day, and he said, "I've got one of the best cows I've ever had." And that's what we hope for everybody.
This year, we've actually got involved with exclusive genetics and put some bulls in that deal, and we will actually sell some of those and try to get partners on those too.
I'm real excited about that. I got a full brother of Shepherd Hills tested in there.
Our goal is to have a calf that can win all three, that can win the finals, that can win the American Heritage, that can win the $1 Million Bucking Bull Championships. On our website at pagebulls.com, I've got our email, which is info@pagebulls.com, and then Dylan's phone number's on there, HD's phone number's on there, my phone number's on there. I pretty much take all the calls.
I rode bulls for years, and I got addicted to it right off, and I've never, so far, I hadn't lost that addiction to the game. These bucking bulls are the closest thing as far as adrenaline and excitement goes that you can mimic, short of getting on one, and I'm not getting on one anymore, so it's all that's left for me to do.